What's going on, everyone? My name's Eric, and today on the channel we're going to be going over used guitar pedals. I'm a big proprietor for buying used gear. It's a great way to get a deal, and it's also a great way to access some gear if you're not able to afford it brand new. Although when you are buying used gear, you need to consider that they might be coming with a couple issues that might be disclosed or not disclosed by the seller, and those are some things that maybe you can work into when you are negotiating a price at the end of the day if you want to go through with buying that used piece of gear. In this case, we have a few easy issues to fix on this pedal here, and I'm going to outline them later on in this video, and as well as maybe some other issues that might come up on your used pedal buying adventure. I'm going to show you some maintenance tips and things to watch out for when you're buying used guitar pedals, so then you can score yourself a sweet deal. And with all that being said, let's hop into today's video. Alright, now first things first, when you're buying a used guitar pedal, obviously take a look at the used guitar pedal here. As you can see, with this Seymour Duncan 805 here, we got a couple scuffs on the pedal here. Obviously, that's not going to affect the performance of the pedal, but if you are someone who likes your pedals looking brand new and pristine, maybe that is something to consider when you are buying a used pedal. But if you don't care about aesthetics and you just want the pedal for what it is, especially if it works, then just look past this whole point entirely. Next thing you want to look for is make sure the pedal actually powers on. I got it powered in through just a regular 9-volt adapter, and the pedal lights up. That's really good to see. Some pedals might have a really weak LED. I know a lot of Ibanez TS9 tube screamers, they have a pretty dull LED, but when they are on, you can obviously hear that the pedal is on. Again, that's another thing to consider, so just make sure everything lights up as it should when you are actually buying the pedal and when you turn it on. Another thing too, make sure the actual foot switch right here, make sure it actually engages and disengages and it doesn't feel weak or sloppy or anything like that. That might be something to consider as well, especially if you are trying to negotiate a price on a pedal, especially if some of the parts are faulty. It feels like this is pretty good, so that's nothing to really worry about. Now, the next thing that we want to check out is to actually make sure the pedal works. Obviously, if you're going to be trying a pedal in person, you can probably have the luxury of actually plugging it into the seller's amp or something like that. So I have this pedal plugged into an amp just on the clean side, and that's going to be kind of the best way just to hear the pedal work and make sure it actually is functioning as it should. Alright, it might be hard to hear on camera here, but I'm just tapping the end of my guitar cable here. I have some signal, and clearly the pedal is working, so now let's make sure that every function on the pedal is working as it should. That works. You can hear the low end from the bass control here is actually increasing or decreasing. That works. Mid-range. Looks like that all works, and now it might be hard to hear on camera here, but when I am moving the drive knob, I'm getting a little bit of scratchiness in the potentiometer down here. So that is something we're going to be addressing later on in this video. So just so you can hear it. So essentially that's the main issue with this pedal. Otherwise, it sounds like everything is working as it should. So we're going to take the pedal apart and I'm going to show you how you can fix this. And you don't need to be a certified guitar tech or an electrician or anything like that to fix an issue that is this simple. Now, this is a real easy issue to fix on any sort of guitar pedal that has any potentiometers built into the circuit. You can also apply this to any sort of electric guitar or bass that has potentiometers in the electronics layout, and especially you can apply this to actual tube and solid state guitar amplifiers that have potentiometers to control maybe the treble, middle bass, the volume, or the gain. Any sort of parameter that is adjusted by a potentiometer can be fixed with today's video. We're going to need a wrench, we're going to need a screwdriver, and we're going to need a little bit of contact cleaner here. I honestly think every sort of guitar player should have these in their toolbox, especially if you're going to be going on the road and touring. You got to learn how to do a little bit of DIY maintenance on your own. It also saves you a little bit of money and you learn some things along the way. So let's dive into this pedal and let's fix it. Alright, as you can see, we got the whole pedal apart here. Now, when you are taking apart your own used Stompbox or anything like that, you might have a couple different steps along the way, especially if you're working with something like an actual amplifier. There's going to be way more steps involved there, but for the purpose of today's video, we are ready to go. As you can see here, there's some dust in certain parts of the circuit board and some of the other potentiometers here. So what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and clean that up real quick. So what you want to do is go in there with a microfiber cloth and just kind of wipe off the dust very gently. You don't want to go too hard, as that might actually damage damage some of the parts in the circuit board here. And the next thing you want to do after that is actually address the potentiometer that is a little bit dirty, and that's what we're going to do right now. So the main part of the pedal that has the issue is this potentiometer here. What you're going to do is take a little bit of this electronic cleaner. It doesn't have to be MotoMaster brand, anything that is electronic contact cleaner. It says something like this on the can. What you're going to do is then squirt just a little bit of the contact cleaner into the potentiometer. Then you're going to actually work the pedal back and forth as if you're actually adjusting one of the parameters on the pedal, back and forth, just so that contact cleaner gets into every part of the potentiometer and actually cleans the potentiometer. What you also want to be careful of is actually not spraying too much electronic contact cleaner into the actual parts that need to be cleaned. You do risk damaging the part, especially if you're putting way too much contact cleaner in there. You just need to use a very little bit of that and then actually work it back and forth, and then you should be good to go. Now, something that I want to highlight here is that potentiometers come in different shapes and sizes. One on the right here is essentially for guitars or amplifiers. You're going to find these on many circuit boards of amplifiers or just regular guitar electronics. These ones here are essentially for either amplifiers or any sort of like pedals, as you're seeing right here. One big difference here is that this little insert here behind these tabs, that is the best place to actually shoot some of that contact cleaner in, especially if you are trying to clean out a dirty volume pot or a potentiometer or anything like that. There might be a little bit of a tab on the back of these potentiometers, or it might be on the front as well. But that is the best place of where you're going to shoot that contact cleaner and to actually clean your dirty volume pots or tone pots or whatever kind of parameter they are controlling on your guitar or your amp. Otherwise, in this case, if you are taking a pedal apart and it has potentiometers like this, you kind of want to get the contact cleaner in and around essentially these parts here, essentially anywhere where there is a little bit of an opening. You want to avoid spraying right onto the circuit board. What you want to do is actually focus on the part that is actually moving. One more thing just before we put this pedal back together, if you have any sort of noise that is coming from the input or the output jack on your pedal or your guitar amp or anything like that, what you can do is actually put a little bit of contact cleaner into any sort of these 1/4 inch adapter parts here, and then actually run a cable back and forth into those input and those output jacks to clean up the actual insides of the input or the output jack, instead of having to take the whole thing apart. And that's another easy fix if you're getting noise when you're plugging in a cable to any sort of amplifier, a guitar input jack, or any sort of pedal input or output. And if you don't want to spray any sort of contact cleaner right into the pedal, what you can do is actually spray a little bit of contact cleaner onto the end of a 1/4 inch guitar cable and run the 1/4 inch guitar cable back and forth through the actual input and the output jack on your pedal, your guitar input jack, or your actual amplifier input or output jacks. And now the next thing that we're going to do is bolt the entire pedal back up, and then we're going to test it and make sure it works as it should. Alright, now let's test out the pedal and make sure it works. I got my signal, just tapping the end of that cable. Pedal is on. Works as it should. Now, look at that. And no noise. That is a win. I'm going to bolt the rest of the pedal back up, and then we're going to be right out of here. Although, if you are in the situation where you're still getting a little bit of noise and a little bit of scratchy pots when you are adjusting them after you clean it out and put the pedal back together, what you need to do is actually put just a little bit more of contact cleaner in there, really work the potentiometer all the way from the lowest point to the highest point, and really actually get that contact cleaner into that point where it needs to be, and just to actually clean up the rest of the potentiometer so then it works, and then you get no noise when you're adjusting the different parameters on your guitar Stompbox or any sort of electronic that is operated by a potentiometer. Now, if you have an equalizer pedal and you're getting scratchy noises when you're adjusting the actual parameters on this, what you're going to do is put a little bit of contact cleaner into the different sliders right here. You're then going to move the sliders up and down to then actually work that contact cleaner through the track that these sliders are sitting on. Once again, you don't need a lot of contact cleaner, you just need a little bit, and you need to actually work that contact cleaner on the entire part of the track. So going all the way to the lowest part of the frequency band to the highest part of the frequency band, and then your EQ pedal shouldn't have any noise when you're adjusting the different parameters on it. Alright, and that is it, and now our pedal is working as it should. Fixing an issue like this on a guitar pedal doesn't take a lot of time, and the point that I want to make is that you can do this too. This whole process took me maybe 30 minutes at very most, although it takes longer, especially when I'm trying to film and set up different camera angles and really show what I'm trying to talk about for you guys. But if I wasn't filming, it really wouldn't have taken that long. The one thing that you really need to be mindful of is your own skill set and your own wheelhouse and your own confidence of wanting to do something like this. But if you know someone who is maybe local to you, or maybe someone who wants to hop on a video call and walk you through something like this, and if you can trust your own instincts to maybe work on this and do some of the things yourself, you're then going to be saving yourself a lot of money and learning some skills by actually working on your own gear on your own. Now then again, again, I didn't learn all this stuff overnight. This is through years of working on my own gear, and especially being in certain kinds of situations where, you know, it's a Sunday and I have a gig that night and no music stores are open. So the things that I've learned throughout my years of doing all this, I want to pass on to you and show you that even in these tight situations, you can still make it work and you can still get by. And now, keeping a lot of this in mind, if you are buying some used gear and you are noticing like scratchy pots or something like that, and you know how to fix it, maybe you've watched this video or maybe some other videos on my channel that I've gone over to actually diagnose some dirty electronic issues, you can then maybe use that as a bit of a leverage point to actually negotiate the price for that used piece of gear that you want so bad, and maybe take it as a learning opportunity for yourself. And then actually take that piece of gear apart, clean it yourself, again, learn a new skill, and then actually have that in your wheelhouse so then you can take it and maybe apply it to other pieces of gear in your collection. So what I want to really get across is that you can do a lot of this stuff on your own. And again, ask someone online, ask a friend, ask someone who's maybe more experienced than you to then show you how to do it. My inbox is open for the most part, and I definitely don't mind walking through people of maybe basic diagnoses on things like that. Again, it's all about passing it forward and passing along your knowledge to someone else so then they can hopefully benefit from it and then learn from you as well. So with all that being said, that's going to do it for today's video. If you learned something new, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video and you want to see other kinds of videos like that, make sure you hit the thumbs up and also let me know in the comments below. And if you're new to my channel, I have more videos like this on the channel as well as other guitar related topics. And if you really like what I do, make sure you hit that notification bell so then you don't miss a single video that I upload. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you next time.